All right, so let's get started. Welcome everybody to the Getting the Most Out of Aztec session. Our presenter is Jane Kelly. We have a couple of housekeeping notes for you. So first of all, use the Zoom chat box for questions and comments. So you can just click on chat at the bottom, in the center of the screen, and then type your message in at the bottom of that window that pops up. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded, so I hope you are all okay with that. If you are connecting from the Huwa app, remember that you can toggle through screens by sweeping left and right to go to different screens. And if you are also using the Huwa app, if you want to chat, click on the more, those three dots that you see on the top, and then click chat, and you can post your comments or questions. So those are all the comments that I have for housekeeping. Our presenter again is Jane Kelly. Jane has over 2 decades of experience teaching adult education, primarily at Bergen County Technical School's adult ESL and HSE programs. She has taught classes in high school equivalency preparation, adult basic education, adult secondary education, and English as a second language. She has also conducted workshops in numeracy and HSC strategies for teachers and post-secondary options for students. Jane holds a bachelor's in English from William Patterson University and is a certified English and reading teacher. She is currently teaching HSC preparation classes using a variety of online resources and platforms, including Aztec, Edmodo, and Zoom. So let's welcome Jane, and I'll give you the floor.
Okay, let's do share screen. And I think I need sound, but there we go. Okay, so let me go to play from start. And I am sharing. Sometimes in class, I talk for a while and somebody eventually tells me, when you're not sharing your screen, we only see each other. Okay, my email comes up at the end too, because I have a very short, easy email. And if you wanted a copy of the PowerPoint, you could email me and I would send it to you. Okay, so we did a lot of introductions. I just started talking to people as they came in. So I think that I've heard from everybody, from most of you. How many people are here? Maybe I didn't hear from all 22 people, but I think I've got enough of a sense that we have a variety of people, that we have people who are preparing students to take high school equivalency. We have people that are working in ESL and basic literacy. We have tutors and teachers and other program coordinator, program staff. So the thing about Aztec, which makes it great, is that there's something for all those people. And what makes it difficult maybe or hard to use is that there is something for all those people. You know, Aztec could be one thing to you and something totally different. And if you've just had the most basic training, you might not know what to do with it. So I'm going to start, so I'm going to not do introductions just so we can spend more time going over and looking at the program. Okay, so we're skipping that. Okay, what is Aztec? So this is starting for the people who say, I heard of Aztec. It's a for-profit company that sells online education programs for adults, ranging from basic education through college and employment readiness. The programs are set up to be sold to schools and programs, not marketed to individuals. So it's not like buy this for yourself, buy this for your child. It's designed to be sold many seats at a time to a school or even a state. Once a student has it, it can be used totally independently. Okay, the New Jersey Department of Labor which funds all the Title II programs, all the grant-funded high school equivalency programs. Now, I am not real strong on whether your program is funded by the New Jersey Department of Labor, or if your program has bought this is a possibility too. That's something you would have to find out from the person who runs your program. So those of you who are wondering about this, you're working with somebody, and find out from that person if it's grant funded, they got it. If not, possibly they bought it. You know, bought a number of, because basically you don't buy it, you buy seats. You buy a set number of seats. So it's possible that if you are not receiving it through the state, that your literacy organization bought 20 seats or 50 seats or something. So that could be too. So finding out if you like it, you may have to go back to your program and find out if you have it and if you could get it. These are the programs they bought for most of us that are in the grant funded program: fundamentals, foundations, pre-HSE. If you look on the Aztec site, it's called Bridge. They state of New Jersey had them name it pre-HSE for us. I guess they thought we weren't smart enough to figure this out. GED, there is another program called GED Flash. We don't have that. HiSET and Task. These are the programs we have. And this is the basic breakdown. Fundamentals, I have come up, I cannot tell for the longest time fundamentals and foundations, because I look at those words and they both mean the bottom. Fundamentals is the bottom. No, the foundation is the bottom. And I finally taught myself it's reverse alphabetical order. So if you see it alphabetically, which is unfortunately their default of listing programs, foundations comes first. It doesn't come first. Fundamentals with a U comes first. So fundamentals is designed to cover grade 0.5. So from kindergarten to 2.9 for adults only. There are no bunnies or anything like that. You know, so that's definitely a problem, I think, for all of us working with adults. If we search out material, suddenly there's a bunny looking at the number line. Oh no, I can't use this. And if you're in a program and you're always the NRS levels is 1 and 2. And if that makes no sense to you and you're not the person who's worrying about NRS levels or knowing what they are, just think grade equivalent. So that's very low, and it's definitely for adults. Foundations is 3.0 to 5.0, so 3rd to 5th grade. So that comes next. NRS levels 2 and 3. So somebody in 2 could be in either one of these programs, or could be in both. You can give students as many classes as you want. I don't see that they should have more than 2, because how could they be at that many? They could be at 2 levels. You know, maybe they're reading here and they're doing their math here or something like that. That's very common. Then pre-HSE is what they call it for us. The company calls it Bridge. That is 6.0 to 8.9 NRS level 4. I teach high school equivalency. In my county, we have a very large youth program, and that's not my program. My program gets the people who didn't, the older people, or for some reason they didn't go to that program. So our HSE students are often on the lower skilled side. So I find pre-HSE very useful, especially in math. I don't know if those of you who teach HSE math find that people have all their skills already. I just, as a matter of course, give everybody pre-HSE, because I think they probably need it. Most of them need some of the stuff that's in here. Okay, what is in here? So fundamentals comes first. So I don't know how you have your number skills, place value, very basic things. Reasoning, measurement, and geometry, of course, is going to be not above the 2nd grade level. And those, if you're working with literacy, or learning the English language. You've got letters and sounds, a lot of phonics. So this is really reading. So as I said, this program has everything. So you are learning how English words are represented in writing. This is what this is doing. And I don't see how language arts, some of what they say is language arts seems reading to me. Sight and root words, prefixes, little bit of capitalization, punctuation, grammar, little bit of reading in content areas. So a little bit of reading and writing here. Then, so that is very basic. You might find, even if you have a lower level or ESL student, that you want to move up to this one, where you're going to now be adding and subtracting and a little fractions and decimals and a little algebra. And we're getting vocabulary, reading, maps, grammar, punctuation, sentence structure. So you're getting academics, again, 3rd to 5th grade level. And if you were in ESL, you probably wouldn't deal with the math. You would probably be over here. Bridge. So they call it Bridge. Our program, if you have the New Jersey Department of Labor program, Title II program, they call this pre-HSE. So number, concepts, pretty much everything you would want in math. It doesn't go all the way up to the test, but you've got some algebra, you have some, oh yeah, so you know they have geometry. You have geometry here. You have reading, writing, a lot of language conventions, a lot of grammar concepts and rules. And again, this, if we think about grade 8.9, that's not that easy. This stuff might be useful to your high school equivalency students. Oh, locator series. Okay, the locator series was given to us. It seemed to come out very quickly at the time that the pandemic made us all remote. I do not use the locator series, so we just looked at it. We are able to test our people. We have limited in-person access, so we actually bring our students in to give them the CASAS test. But this is designed so that if someone were to begin Aztec and you did not have a level for that person, there are 3 placement tests, 1 each in math, reading, and language arts. The tests, however, are written at an intermediate level. So if the person may not be able to read at a 5th, 6th grade level, they can't do the test. It will just be extremely frustrating. The math, I just started going through the locator for this. The second question had a variable in it, had an X in it. So if you have someone who's doing, as a basic literacy student, it seems to me it's not really a good gross screening. There's about 50 questions, and the test is not adaptive. It's not, if you begin to get questions wrong, it makes it a little bit easier. It just is 50 questions, and I think a pure raw score of how many you get right tells you which program the student should use. It doesn't give an NRS level or grade equivalent. They just made it so that a student could take this and the score would determine which level they would be with. And it seems like it's not really a very good test, because most tests have different levels, some sort of a locator and putting people in the right level. I think if someone was already quite good and you knew they could read and write well, you could give them the locator, could read well, you could give them the locator test. But I would be careful with it. I do part of one program that was using it and was okay with it, but you'd have to make sure your students were literate first. If anybody uses it and wants to comment about the locator, that would be fine, because mine is just looking at it and deciding what I thought of it. So if anyone wants to say anything about the locator from experience, that would be great. Kind of watching the, okay, high school equivalency preparation. So these are grade equivalency 9.0 to 12.0. Why would it be 12.0 and not 12.9? I don't know if I made a mistake or it says 12.0. NRS levels 5 and 6, there are 3 test-specific programs. So there's one for each of the tests that are allowed in New Jersey. Practice tests are provided, and they have computer literacy lessons. Not really sure why. They are the first thing that comes up. And it sort of seems to me if you're using Aztec, you already know these things because you're already on the computer. And this is what they have. GED. Just if there's, I don't know if anyone uses, so far everyone I've talked to uses primarily, I think HiSET is the most popular. If anybody uses GED, maybe you could even just put in the chat, say, we have GED in my county, my students take GED. Otherwise, I'm assuming HiSET is the most popular. So if people want to say, yeah, we do. Somebody just sent me that we use Task. We use Task as given in Bergen County, but with it, sometimes our students would go to the next county, would go to Passaic County because, so we're half and half. I think we might be half and half. Passaic County offered the Task test on Saturdays, and that was a big deal for some of our working students. So we always had a certain measure of HiSET, and then when HiSET went remote, our HiSET numbers went up. But so all I'm hearing is, all I've heard is HiSET and Task. So GED, if you know the GED test, it has math, science, social studies, and language arts. Reading and writing are combined. So that's what that program looks like. HiSET has 5 subject areas, along with computer literacy, which comes up on top. Math, science, social studies, language arts reading, and language arts writing. And the task is exactly the same, but I figured they each needed their own column. If you go back and forth between these, you will find they are just arranged differently. If you wanted graphing an equation, somebody put, one of them will put it under algebra and somebody will put it under geometry or something like that, that they have very much of the same material. Sometimes it's identical and sometimes it's arranged differently. I just put their address here, so I should have changed the size so that the E didn't hang over there, but just look for Aztec software if you want to read about it and think about it. And again, if you probably have to find out if your program has it, or I'm sure they'd be happy to come and show it to you if you told them you were thinking about buying it. Okay, so the student experience. Okay, when a student goes to nextgenaztec.com, they have to make sure that they do NextGen Aztec, or I think there's other, somebody said Aztec Learning, but otherwise, if you just start looking for Aztec, they say all these things about Aztec civilization. And so you've got to make sure that you give them, which you will have if your program works with it, the right address. Then they'll get here and they'll put in their name and their password and they'll log in. So that's what the screen looks like. Okay, and if you do not have an account, you will not get in. Somebody has to have bought an account for you. And when the student gets in, they will see this. See here, it's New Jersey Labor and Workforce Development. And they will see their classes. They will have 1 or 2. This is my student account. And I have 4 classes because I have 1 student who's taken part of the GED. So I wanted to look at that. And most of our students, we generally give students 2 classes so that if they are trying to do the task math and they can't even do integers, they better go do it over here. In the pre-HSE. So a student comes in and clicks on the class that he or she wants or that the teacher told them to do. They may use, especially at a very, very low level, you might just have your class. There'd be no reason to have multiple classes. Then you click on Learning Plan, because otherwise you sit here and you look at this and say, what have I done? When have I been on? What have I done? It's you're just looking, there's nothing, how do I find my work? You must click on Learning Plan. And then you will see your work. They always put something bonus here. This one, pre-HSE has developing your study skills right up here on top, which kind of, I think if somebody asked me to redesign Aztec, I would move everything around. I would first have a lot fewer things on the screen. There's too many things. But also the bonus materials I would put on the bottom, because they probably want to do reading, writing, and math. And it comes with developing your study skills right on top. So if you're beginning to work with students and you put them in here, it's entirely possible that you will suddenly be looking at what they've done, and they've all done this pre-test on developing your study skills, because it's the first thing that's sitting there looking at them. So that's one of the first things with using Aztec is I think students need direction in where you want them to go, where they need to go. So unless you wanted to do study skills, I don't know, I haven't, and it just annoys me that it's right there. So I decided we were going to look at reading. And so I clicked on reading. I expanded reading from a +2. I clicked on it and it went and it opened up. So I have general reading skills, specific reading skills, gathering information. This again is pre-HSC, so it's 6th to 8th grade. And these are the different things that we could do. We have a pre-test. And actually, I have one where I've done a pre-test, and I could show you some for you. We start with the pre-test and all different kinds of skills. And I think I actually want to do one because I was going to do this for the demonstration, and then I realized this slide had everything you could think of. So this is pre-HSE. So this is my student account. So this student named Jane went in, and the teacher said, I would definitely demo. You know, especially, if you're on Zoom, that's perfect because you're demoing, you're showing them your screen all the time. But you need to demo how to get in. And the more skilled your students are, the easier it's going to be. If they're not skilled, you're going to have to really work through getting into what you want. So we are in math, pre-HSC class math, positive and negative numbers. That's what the teacher said to work on. Because again, they might start with whole numbers, and that's not really what this is. This is me, but I'm pretending to be an upper level student. And I know this already. That's how I tested into this class. I need to go down here with some of the harder stuff. So I picked positive and negative numbers, and the person did the pre-test. And she finished it, and she failed it. How do I know she failed it? Because it's red. It's completed and red. And she can't take it again. When something turns black, they can't get it again. So if any of your students will say, I want to do it again, I just missed it, you can't do it again. It won't let you. It wants you to do the lessons. You have to do the lessons. So when something turns black, and very few things turn black, but when something turns black because it's been done, it's not available anymore. There probably is a way that I don't know to reset. I'm sure I know there is, but I just say you can't do it anymore. It wants you, blame the program, and its desires wants you to do the test again. So, but what's interesting when this person did the test is you can see that it said that she should do ordering decimals, adding and subtracting negative numbers, and multiplying and dividing. But Or these three skills here, order of operations and using integers and problem solving, were all waived. So the test looks at which questions you got right and wrong and tells you these are required and these are not required. You probably have to tell them what the word waived mean with an I in it means. Now you notice that it's waived, but it's still open. So if the whole class was working on order of operations and the teacher said you should do this, or the student says, I don't even know what that means. I must have guessed some multiple choice questions right and got them right by accident. Anything that is waived is still blue and open for you to do. So then I didn't finish the lessons. You noticed I wasn't required to finish the lessons they recommended, and I did the post-test and I passed it. And neither the pre-test nor the post-test are available to me anymore. Now, what is up here is drills. And it's usually not expanded. See, drills just sits there and nobody knows what drills is, or students don't know what drills is or why it's there. And possibly if they expand it, then it's on top. And they say, oh, I guess I should do these things and then these things. No, it's the other way around. That's why I would rearrange the whole screen. The drills are simply like quizzes. They don't teach anything. They tell you every single question, right or wrong, as soon as you've done it on the bottom of the screen, and a little explanation of why you're right or wrong. But they don't teach. These are the lessons that are to be done, and the drills are like quizzes to follow. So that's, and also you notice that I finished this, but I could do it again and again, and there is a bank of questions. So I will not get the same questions and the same or in the same order. They will repeat. There will be some repetition. I don't know any numbers on how many questions. So, but they will be, so that also would make it very frustrating if you decided to use it with your class. And you said, okay, who got number one right? Number one is different for everybody. So it's very good for them. And if they didn't do well in the drill, they can do it over and they can keep doing more and more drills. And at some point they will have exhausted the questions. I know somebody did like 40. So maybe there's 10 questions and there's maybe a bank of 40 of them. But you have to be careful. These lessons are set. These slides are absolutely set. They never, ever change. And you can use these. In fact, generally what I do, if I want to use this, I've been using these more and more as class lessons that just go through it as a PowerPoint with these slides, and then this is homework. That works very well. And the nice things is these are the same, so you know what's coming up and they can do these on their own. So that's every kind of color and thing that could happen. Okay, now I'm going to stop share real quick, go grab Aztec and jump in, which means I have to move, oops. You know what I have to do? I have to escape. And then I can move it enough to get back into Zoom, share screen, grab this screen, and grab this one. Okay, so I would recommend that anyone who is doing, using Aztec with, and my Mac is gonna go to sleep if I don't plug it in. I would recommend that you have a student account. So whether it's your own or some programs say sample student or something like that, or test student, but you want to be able to see what the student work looks like. So you could ask for a student account. If you have teacher privileges, you could make yourself a student account, but you just want to be able to see. And the state has given us, it's not unlimited. There's about, I think, 90 spaces at any given level. And if somehow 91 people in the state went on at once, the 91st person wouldn't be able to get on. But I have not run into that. I don't know if anyone else has, where your students can't get on because it's full. Okay, so then I'm clicking and here I am. And right now I have 7 classes, which no student would ever have every single class there is. In fact, now when I'm working with my students, I'm like, we have too many. I got to make these go away. They make me nervous. Okay, so I think I'm going to go to the very lowest class just to show that, because my examples, I kept looking at math, and I know some people are working in ESL. So we're going to look at the lowest classes a little bit and go over what the student experience is like. So your student who is very, very low would have just the box that says foundations here. And he or she clicks on it and they look all around and you have to tell them learning plan. Okay, so now we have all sorts of things here. So we have reading, using language, and math. And I'm thinking for ESL, I might want to do all sorts of things. I could try the pretest in words and sounds. You know what? I'm just going to click on a first lesson, and it's even going to read to us, just so you see what the beginning of the beginning lesson looks like. You are going to read to us, aren't you? It reads to me all the time when I have the upper level and I did not turn off the sound. Maybe it's going to read the next page.
In this lesson, you will learn about groups of letters that go before or after words. These are known as prefixes and suffixes. When we add a prefix or suffix to a word, it changes the meanings. Learning common prefixes and suffixes and how they change words will make reading easier. We can look for parts of words that we know and then sound them out. It also helps us learn the meaning of words.
So this is, I know it isn't reading it perfectly, which I hadn't realized. So if you could, a student could use it alone. You could turn off the sound if you were sitting with a student or groups of students and read it out loud to them and add your own comments. But this is the beginning of the reading. So it sort of expects that you can read all these words already. And it's going very slow because it's talking, and I turned off the talking. But this is the beginning of reading. Going to exit the lesson if you wanted to see easy language, or should we, if anybody wants to see a lesson, I made him stop talking. Anything, if anybody chats and says, show me this or show me that. So this is our bottom lesson. So these sounds like, does this look like ESL? I think this looks like ESL. You know, this could be useful to you, and depending on what you're, also, the lessons are quite low, especially at the upper level. This one is only 24. But some of them are some of the upper ones are like 50 of these slides. But this, you could do anything. You could give it to a student to do. You could sit with a student and do it. You could show it to a group of students. So this is, we'll go on and on like this. So this is their lowest level. So those of you who said you were doing basic literacy or learning problems, you know, this is as low as it goes. This is supposed to be first grade, and it seems like it's, well, it does read to you, I guess. I'm going to go up one and show you, I'm going to go back to my dashboard. And your students will probably not be doing this because they're not going to be going to lots and lots of different classes. Let's go up one. And go learning plan. And let's go introduction to reading. And go to the basics of reading. I don't want to do a pre-test. I just have to go to main idea. And maybe we'll let him talk. He's not talking. When I say he can talk, he doesn't.
In this lesson, you will learn how to find the main idea in a passage, find the details in a passage, decide which details support the main idea in a passage.
I need to go show you a reading, maybe a passage so you could see what it is.
To find the main idea, think about the answer to who or what the passage is about. Then find the most important thing being said about the who or what. This is the main idea.
Think about this passage. DeAndre bought a lot of new clothes yesterday. He bought a new hat and a pair of shoes. He bought 4 pairs of jeans and 2 pairs of pants. He also bought 3 shirts and 2 t-shirts. He even bought new socks.
And so this is the reading level of the second level. So even though some of this might be a little bit bigger words, it seems very simple here. You could repeat it again. So this is definitely available here. I don't know if anybody wants to see how they go with this. What happens if we continue?
To find the main idea, first, think about who or what the passage is about. This passage is about a person, DeAndre. DeAndre is the answer to the question, who? What is the most important thing being said about DeAndre? He bought a lot of clothes yesterday. So the main idea in this passage is that DeAndre bought a lot of new clothes yesterday. That is what the passage is about.
Okay, so we're going to ask us a question on the next page.
Details are other points that support the main idea. Most of a passage will be detailed.
You wanted to see more? Did people? I think you've got an idea what it looks like. Okay. I'm wondering if anybody would like to see any kinds of lesson. I'd love to have it with a chat and say, show me what's this. If anybody in chat wants to say, I'd like to see this or that, or can you show us? Because there's tons of stuff in here, but I'm not sure if people are familiar with it or would like to see something that your students would need to do. Oh, I got a math. Okay. I got a new request for math. Okay, so let's go look at math. I wanted to do this because I felt bad that I was doing math and not talking to ESL people at all. So that's what's here. And I think it's not designed for ESL, but it looks like exactly things that are done in ESL. So I think I'm going to go to a harder class for math because I hear people were doing, so let's go back to dashboard. And what's our most popular class? I guess we're 50-50 between the two. Okay, let's grab task. Okay, learning plan. Okay. So, okay, this is even a good to look at the dashboard, what this one looks like. Okay, so this is when the student gets in to an upper level program. So clicked on learning plan. The first thing are practice tests. They are meant to be official practice tests. Well, not official. They're not sanctioned, but they are good practice tests. They are very hard. They are harder. I think anyone who's worked with them, they are harder than the real test. And the only one I actually sat down and doing its entirety is the writing test. So we will look at math work, but I'm just going to click on this to show you what happened. Oh no, I wanted to show you my results and I don't have my results. Why can't I? Okay, when a person takes a test, a practice test, whether it's Aztec's task, Aztec's high set, Aztec's GED, they will get this because they're not going to say you will pass. They will say, don't go, maybe go, definitely go. I tried my best, I got 84%. So I would say if your students hit somewhere here, they're okay. Because these tests, and I remember in the training, the person in the company saying it's actually harder than the real thing, and it is actually harder than the real thing. So I think that's been, and I just got a chat. Okay. So, okay. So this is what you would get. And also then you have a tremendous amount of explanation that the students could review. I found out by experience is that everybody's tests have been ranged differently. So you can't say to your whole class, oh, you all did the class, you all got number 4 wrong. Number 4 is different for everybody. So you can't go through it with a group because it's not static, it's changing. And they take it again, there will be a different bank of questions. Some will be exactly the same, some will be different. So this is what they get, and I would be comfortable in the middle of the yellow, and you might tell the students that. Okay, so what do I want to do? I want to get out of my scores, and okay, so go back to my learning plan. Okay, so these tests are here. I would say if you know your students are upper level, they might want to start with the practice test and see how they are. It will let them know whether they're ready already, and they will get an item skill analysis with the test that says what areas they have problems with. But if they're not ready, and that's, you know, they're not ready because of their CASAS scores, then maybe we should just leave these practice tests just sit here, even though they're right here on the top, because you have to learn some things. There's computer literacy is always the first thing, which sometimes leads to your students marching right in and even either doing this, because the reading test is on the top, or computer literacy because it's on the top. So here's your different levels. Here's all your subjects. So you see, once we hit the high school equivalency level, you've got reading, writing, math, science, and social studies. And okay, so a couple things what I would do is I'm reading my chats. Is I'm in task, so I'm going to okay, so how I would show my students is I absolutely need my student account. So everybody's got they've been given their names and passwords, and I slowly demonstrate just like I did with you. I've always demonstrated live. I just took the screenshots for you, but maybe I would use some of those screenshots and say, you must do this, you must do this. So you get in. Okay, now when you get in, you're going to see this. And you've got to click on learning plan. Now, don't want this because we're not ready to take the test yet. And I would say, okay, in math, we want to work in the real number system. And as far as I know, complex numbers are not even on any of the tests. So I think somebody was saying it's hard. It is hard. It's too hard. I just was telling my students yesterday, do not play with this. Just leave the complex numbers alone. But here's exponents and roots. And it's not going to talk. Good, I turned it off. So you notice it has 48 slides. So it's going to go on and on about these things. And even at the upper level, I think it's a bit slow to allow for it talking. So it looks like this. And now next is blinking. You always have to wait. It's a bit slow, I think, because it could be reading it. And it's other things that I have are not this slow. So I think it's just it. So it's going to explain exponents from the very beginning. And then at some point it will, I'm just going to keep jumping to see where it does a question and an answer. Okay, so I would say this is fine, that if your students are discouraged, I don't think anybody would find this too hard right now. And if they wanted to, if they do it at home, they can stare at this page as long as they want and write all of this down. I think it's very nice. And I wanted to do a question. So I think I wouldn't do it any better myself. I think this is fine. To do a question. Okay, here's a question. Okay, convert. Okay, so, all right, I guess they might, I guess from looking at the answers, they would realize this, that they must be, that means multiply it out. So let's get it wrong. I think it's C. Okay, it didn't explain, but it did tell us the correct answer is 81. Now we could try another. And I'm going to keep getting them wrong. It's not good. Okay, I'm like, sometimes it tells you what you did, and then this particular lesson is not helping us. It's not telling us anything. It's just telling us we're getting them wrong. But you have questions and answers as you go through, then it'll have another skill for several sections, and then several slides, and then some more questions. So I think I'm jumping out of this. I would say if you start your students and they're in here, whoever's looked at this, and Joshua told me that it's too hard. If you click on this and start doing this, I think you would just quit. This is awful. The first time we turned our students loose with this, they started here. And then that was awful. Then they went here. And then I finally said, just go to pre-HSE. So I would say maybe even if they're upper level students that they, you know, I would, for math, I would lean on the pre-HSE. Let's see. Okay, once we have our students, okay, so how, let's see, questions. I definitely walk people through like this. And then I'm just going to show here if I have, there's the drills on these things. But I would definitely want to be involved to tell them, please don't waste your time with complex numbers. They don't have it on the test anymore. Okay, what do I do? Okay, so I would, with math, I would lean on pre-HSE a lot. You know, just let them get their skills. And again, some of the stuff is hard enough. Some of it's too easy. And definitely walk your students through. I mean, since I was in the building, we'd be in the computer lab and I would walk around and look at what they were doing. Since we're not in the building, I would just be demonstrating, and then I'll show you, teacher, how you can see what your students are doing. Okay, once I have my students oriented on the software, the work is okay, so let's see. Okay, so I'm reading chats. Okay, once I have the students oriented, the work is self-paced with you guiding them outside the tool. Pretty much, since our class we have classes in which a group of people, sort of like a traditional class in which you teach the same people, you teach the class the same thing. I tend to use Aztec sometimes we use it as a class lesson and I have them do the drill for homework. Sometimes whenever I've taught something maybe totally outside of Aztec and I do a test on it and it doesn't do well, I will give them explicit directions, go here in Aztec and review positive and negative numbers because you didn't pass this quiz. So I tend to use Aztec, not so much that you're going to go through Aztec, but you're going to use bits and pieces of it to match and reinforce what we're doing in class. If you're not in a class, some people are in situations where you don't teach a class of people the same, even whether they were in person. Some of them are more like a study hall, some programs where everybody, and in that case, you might just leave people on. Students should follow the learning plan in preparation to do the practices successfully. Drills give explanations. Okay, so Karen, are you saying, or maybe you could even unmute for a second, that you do the drills first or you do the stuff on the bottom first?
I do the information on the bottom first.
Oh, okay, that's what I said. I thought so, because the drills are like quizzes.
Yes.
Afterwards, so they do tell you, yes. But
Right.
I thought, and the thing with Aztec is there's so many, like I'm looking at my screen, it's got all this stuff, is you're gonna think everybody's fine. And then somebody's gonna tell you, like someone did the other day, oh, that's why I get everything wrong on the drills. I was trying to do them first. Like, you've been here for months. How did you escape, knowing that I wanted you to do things this way?
Well,
So
what I find it, as the students do the drills, when they finish, it actually assesses them and tells them whether or not they've successfully completed it at the level the system is looking for.
Yes, it is a high level. I think it might be 80%, which
Yes, it is.
And I remember asking in the training, and you cannot change the mastery level.
No.
Because 80 is a little high. I got 70, I got 7 out of 10. You can't change the mastery level, unfortunately, but it will not stop you. So if you got 70%, you don't have to do exponents and roots again if you don't want to. If you got 70%, it doesn't force you or block you in that way. Okay, so I showed, I think, everything in here. Would anybody, I think I'm going to go, which is going faster than I thought, but would anybody like to see anything while I'm on live in my student because I was going to go show you what the teacher sees for management. Though some of you may have that, some of you may not. So would anybody like to, while I'm here, which I can show you anything in any subject from kindergarten to 12th grade. Would anybody like to see what something looks like? Okay. Science, writing. Oh, okay. So I'm assuming we're at the upper level. You're free to chat and say, okay, so let's look at science. I'm staying in task. And I'm going to close up the math so it gets out of my way. But definitely I definitely lean on pre-HSE in math. Okay, so we could do overview of science domains. Let's not do a pre-test. Let's just read. Okay. So you can see, the first thing I see is that there are 67 slides here. So this isn't something that you're going to sit down necessarily, if students go sit down and do 67 slides. That's why I say I keep doing this in pieces. So a variety of questions, use different types of practice, apply each possible question. So you might, I found these seem like we are in task, and task has more biology than other science areas. And if you spent time reading the task blueprint, you will see that this matches. These are the things that they say are important on the task science test: high priority, high emphasis. This matches it. This is such, to me, is a good match. It matches the Common Core Achieve Science. If you teach science, I assume that these, for the test, that these are like, oh yeah, those are the things that I teach. I don't, so you're going to get your human bodies. I think this might be better. Can I make it big? Or would I would probably just be blowing up my screen if I. So am I jumping around and not seeing things and not waiting for them to come? I think I'm going to go back because I think we had more body systems, and I think I just jumped out of it. I've just found other things that I've, okay. There's going to be more. So no, they're not. Where are the rest of my body systems? Okay, I feel like something is missing here because they should have given us more body systems, and now we are suddenly categorizing somebody's blood pressure. Okay. Sometimes it might be that I'm not waiting long enough for it to continue. But here is some science question. I'm determined to find the body systems. Because how can they have one? I bet if we wait here, more body systems will show up. Okay, so somebody wants to see social studies and somebody wants to see writing. Okay. Well, this is what I have found, and I don't think that, oh, see, they're coming. I knew they were coming. That it's very slow sometimes, and you say, where is it? And you just have to sit there and wait. But I would think of this as something I would do with the class, that I would be somehow, I haven't used it from here. My Amoeba Sisters videos are my favorite videos. I don't know if other people who teach science know the Amoeba Sisters, which is not what this is about. But I would be, if I wanted to use this, I would be blowing these up and I would be talking, and this is something I would do with the class. Or if you're limited class time, students could do this on their own. But this is what you've got. The biggest thing I think is there's so many pages that you might even say use slides blank this to this or something. You know, look at the human body systems in slides 1 through 10 or something like that in here. Okay, so this is, I think I'm going to jump out of science. We definitely got our body systems. I knew they were coming. And then it didn't ask us any questions about that. And I think it's going to give us just the practice in reading a table. Yes. That's one thing with this is you have to look whether it says continue here. Yeah, I never know what happened to the blood pressure thing. But he talks about reading a table. It shows you 2 different ways the table is set up. And it will probably ask questions about a table soon. Oh, okay, so here we finally found the blood pressure. So this would be reading a chart. I usually do things like this with the class, and generally since we're in Zoom, if I think a question is very easy, I'll say everybody has to be quiet for 2 minutes. Nobody say anything, and then you can say the answer, or sometimes I will say chat the answer in Zoom, you know, so that nobody yells the answer while other people are trying to read. But this is what it looks like in science. So could be used as by an individual, could be a demo for a class. And now so we want to exit this lesson and look at writing. Okay. Does my writing person want to see something about writing, like composite? Maybe I'll wait. Elaine, do you want to see like composition? Like how to write an essay, or did you want to see grammar? I'm going to see if Elaine wants to unmute and tell me which one to click on because she asked for it.
Yeah, okay, like maybe like a writing, you know,
Okay.
writing an essay.
Okay, let's see what's here. Okay, yes. Okay, so let's not look at the pretest. Let's look at the writing process. I generally, okay, no, I don't know where I left off, so I don't want to go off where I left off. It will save where you left off. So if you had that 67 slide lesson and somebody was doing it, it will say. Okay, so this is, it's giving direction. I kind of feel pretty comfortable with teaching writing, so I don't use it. I'm comfortable doing it myself. I use it for a lot of the grammar stuff, but I guess I looked at this one day. Okay, so this is the steps. Hey, we should all use digital. Use your words and make writing a breeze. They got a guarantee on that. Okay. So this is some really good advice. I think any of us have taught writing who said this. Don't just start writing or typing the second you can. You have to plan. So the first step. So you see that it is designed for the task test. It says, once you have read the writing prompt and passages provided for you, because many materials on the internet about writing essays are about just personal essay writing. Here's a topic and brainstorm ideas. And this one is saying you read some passages. Okay, and see how it's presented. You know, it just like the task. The article presents arguments from both supporters and critics of daylight savings time. In your response, analyze. Okay, no, that's not best supported. You know what? That's why I got mad at them, because that's how the GED presents their question, if you're familiar with GED, and that's not how task says write an argumentative essay. So I think that's why I stopped looking at this. Now it's coming back to me that I didn't like the fact that this is not the directions from task. This is the directions from GED. But I think there's a lot of useful information here. So that's what they're going to say is, but I think this is useful. They tell you what to do. They tell you about reading it. Yeah. So this is not anybody, this is not task, this is GED. So that's why I got mad and stopped using this. So I don't know, whoever asked, you probably don't do GED prep, right? You must probably do task or high set. That was Elaine, right? Elaine, do you want to, Elaine, what do you do? Do you do, which test? Where's Elaine? I can't see.
I'm here.
Do you, what do you do?
I do ESL.
Oh, so ESL. So you probably want lower level writing, I would think, right? Or is your student
my student is probably around 4th, 5th grade level.
Okay, so we could look at another. I'm going to look at social studies, then we're going to go look at another writing. Okay, because I was thinking, okay, I like the social studies here. I use social studies. It's probably going to tell me to go back. Okay, I thought the social studies was very good for using with a group.
Okay.
So I was using social studies. I don't know about others, but we have generally found that the task social studies isn't that hard and students tend to pass it. That's what I found, that that social studies isn't too bad on task. So they tend to pass it, but they were very, where was it? This is what we did. Okay, this is the one we did. Was I had students who said, I'm not born here. We have to do, oh, you know what? Let's look at, you know, I'm doing history, but I'm just thinking with ESL, I'm going to go find government. I'm going to find government instead. Let's find civics and government, right? Civics, that's an ESL word. Okay, so again, this is at social studies is only available at the 9th to 12th grade level. So, you know, that depends on on the reading level of your student who might be studying citizenship. So I guess if you have access to this, decide if you think your student could read this.
Yes, actually, my student, I'm incorporating the citizenship with the language, and she's been able to do all the 100 questions easily.
Okay.
That's required for citizenship. So I think maybe she's probably even a little higher.
Okay, so here's, yeah. So this doesn't, it obviously doesn't match the citizenship test perfectly, but
no, but the content, yeah, the content is similar.
Yeah, there's a lot of overlap.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, there's a lot of overlap, and
I think it's good. It's a good study, you know.
Yeah, it's just could be a little hard. You know, that's the only thing, is that it doesn't begin. They don't have social studies till 9th grade. But here you've got.
Oh, it complements the citizen questions. Excellent.
Yeah, that's what I think of anybody who's an HSE tells our students, if you did the citizenship.
Definitely.
And here's the Bill of Rights.
Perfect.
So this is here. So now you've got to find out if your program has access to it.
I know.
So this is social studies at the upper level. At some point there'll be some questions.
Oh, great.
Now you have to, now you,
To find out.
the thing with Aztec is there's so many different little pieces that somebody's coming out of here going, Aztec is for citizenship. And someone else is saying Aztec is for algebra.
It's for language too.
Yeah, it's for, but it's almost like you say, oh, I needed to do that. I keep wanting to see a social studies question. That's why I'm just jumping around. When I did some social studies with my class, because they kept saying they didn't know social studies because they weren't born here. I did some work from here, and then I pop over and do a video from the History Channel and show them a little video, and then we look at some more stuff here. Some point they have questions. Okay, here's a question. So you should have read what was here before to the natural rights. I think, is it all of these? Anybody know John Locke for sure? I'm gonna do this and we'll see. I'm probably, oh. So Pursue Happiness is from our Declaration of Independence, and it's not from John Locke. I knew he was property, but probably if we had slowly read things, we could have answered it.
Right, Declaration of Independence.
And you know, if you were doing this with your class, you might have them read the Declaration of Independence too. Maybe you would do some of this. Maybe you would have done a class lesson or video and say, why don't you go through and remind yourself of everything by doing this at home? Let's see, should we look for some, I'm going to go to a different class. I think, anybody want anything test prep? I was going to go look for a lower level writing process. Okay, I'm going to go back to my dashboard. Classrooms doesn't help. If they click on Classrooms, okay, let's see what's in the writing process on PHSC. Okay, writing skills. No. Oh, okay, so this is interesting. So this is not related to one test. Okay, so this was some basic writing. I had nothing in how to write did I like as much as doing things on my own. So that's why I've jumped in and out of every writing lesson. So this one seems to be okay. So this doesn't so much seem, this seems more about reasoning. I'm going to see if there's something more about writing an essay. See if we found something that tells us how to write an essay. This looks good. And I am in the pre-HSE program. So this, you know, I think a lot of the pre-HSE stuff. Okay. I like this piece. At least we got our. Anybody ever see? So this is, oh, this is your basics. I did not know this. So that's the thing with Aztec is so big that you don't know what's where. And the more you see it, the more you find things. So where we are, anybody who wants to use this, we are in pre-HSE. I would not, I'd be embarrassed to give all of your test prep students pre-HSE. Say there's some one, you know, maybe anything you can say, maybe you need some skills, maybe say there's some really good stuff in there that they should have put in the upper level or whatever you need so they don't feel embarrassed that they're in the pre-HSE. Because this just looks like exactly what they need to know. And I like the integers there for math. There's a lot of good stuff in pre-HSE. So here, what does an introductory paragraph do? I like this. That's a really interesting, that the store window, your introductory paragraph is just like your store window to get people inside. Okay. I don't know if you want, this looks good. So I think you saw what, I think we all saw what's here. I saw something. So this looks really nice, I think. And where is it? It is in pre-HSE writing skills, writing an essay. And that's the way you have to find things for yourself, and it's the way you have to send your student places. If you are going to use this to support classwork, you're going to have to keep giving explicit addresses, so that they go pre-HSE, learning plan, writing skills, writing an essay. No, not that one, this one. But I think then it's worth it. The stuff is really good. And if they do the wrong thing, it's not going to harm them that they didn't do the exact lesson you wanted them to do. Okay, so I'm seeing we saw essay writing, we saw social studies, we saw lots of things. I think I'm going to show you if you are a teacher, what's in as a teacher, what you can see there, how you can see what your students are doing. Tutors may not, everyone may not have this level of access, but let's stop sharing, go back into my PowerPoint. Play from current slide. Okay, so we did that. We played with it, the teacher experience. Okay, so this is what it's like when you're a teacher. Now, depending on whether, if you're a tutor and you're just working with a few people, you probably will not get this level of access. But I think many of you have this. So somebody has to make you in your program has to give you this kind of access. So when I go in, first thing you get is, they always tell you how many ungraded essays. They are from all over the state. So I don't know if anybody knows these people and wants to grade their essays, but this is not your students. This is not my students. This is the entire state of ungraded essays sitting there. And you will have a list of the classes that you have been put into. So it's Bergen County, and we have two programs in Bergen County, the technical schools and the community college, and they're separated, which is nice. So we don't see, but we see everybody else's students. You'll see when we go in. So these are my classes that I'm allowed to look at and I can put students in. This is my classes. I can go to the admin center, and that is where I could add students. So if you are a teacher, you can put students in. You can enroll them, and you can see them, and you can take them out, but nobody ever takes them out. So it gets bigger and bigger, because I know our program hasn't, and I think other programs haven't. Because we're not paying for them if they're not using it. So it's just, someday someone will clean out the New Jersey Aztec. So you could put a new student in, you could deactivate a student, give them work. User would be just you would do user to put them in, enrollment to give them classes. And Then the other thing is you can see the class activity. So this is showing me only the task class. So since I have students, I use pre-HSE, I would have to go back out and see if anybody was in. It gives a great deal of information because all Tamara did, everything, these 4 things happened between 2:40 and 2:41. So it tells you every little thing they clicked. It kind of don't really need that much information, but you can see whether your students were on. And since I am in Bergen County Technical Schools task, I'm only going to see those people. If they have a different level program, I'll have to go back out and look for that. And I will not see your students who are in task, or even the students from our community college. I will only see this class. So now I think I'm going to stop. I only had a few slides. Stop share and go in as a teacher. And okay, oh, I know what I have to do. I have to escape because the PowerPoint is taking over my whole screen. Now I'm better. All right, I need to log out because I'm in as a student. Now I need to go in with other passwords. So someone would give you that type of access. So now there's 21 ungraded essays. So, and they're all older than 24 hours. So, so what could I do? I could, at this point, I do not see any work. This is an admin center. Let's go in admin center. And I could click on users and I could decide that I wanted to put a new person in. And I would just have to give the person a name. The name has to be unique. So if it's a common name, you might have to put initials or something, like if it's a Maria Lopez, there may be one already. You may need to add initials, middle initials, something like that. A password, and say that the person is a student. But if you have teacher access, you can put students in. And this is where you would put them in, or they forgot their password. You need to change their password because they forgot it. They can't remember it. You could change their password here. You would say they were a student. And if you try to create a user and there is already someone, they would tell you that person already is. In enrollments is where you can give people classes. So you would look, I'm going to look for myself as a student. So here's, where am I? Did I pass myself? So here's Jane Kelly. So say, I don't think there's anything left. So this would be enroll. And since I'm in Bergen, I usually just look for our stuff. But if you're in Union County, you could type a U. You should be able to get. Okay, so you don't have to scroll all the way down to find your classes. And you make sure you put people in the class that you, in the county, in the program that you work for. So that's where you could say, oh, I like that pre-HSE, you know, I want to give my students that too. This is how you enroll them. If they do not enroll them, they have no work. So you can give them a name and a password, but you must give them, you must enroll them in at least one class to have work. If you don't want them, like what I am going to do is, I'm going to get something out of here. Let's just take out the locator series. I don't want that. I don't want it anyway. So now I took it away. So you can add students, you can take away, you can add, and you can put students in, you can give them work, you can take work away from them. You can masquerade. So this is actually a way to see student work too. So if you click on Masquerade, all of a sudden, why will it not let me in? Okay, it wants me to go in again. Okay. Nope. Masquerade usually works. Okay. I don't know why I couldn't masquerade as a student. I only wanted to do my own. Okay, so now this is the student Jane's screen. So you can see what classes she has. You can see, has she been on? You can see what did she do in pre-HSC? Look, she did, you know, she was working here. There's other, but you can just see if somebody has something. Sometimes a student will tell you, I don't have those lessons, or something that's not there when I log in or something. If you wanted to see what their screen looks like, you can look in like this. And if I want to go back to being the teacher, I can stop masquerading and I'm back. And that's, so I can see what they've done. If you wanted essays, I don't know if anyone uses the essays. Each one of the practice tests, there's one, oh my goodness, one of my students, I'm saying, why does nobody read their essays? But one of them is mine. So I don't know, anybody know any of these people? They've written stuff. And one of them is mine. What is Santa doing? Why is she writing every single essay she could? Because she could. So there's one essay for each of the practice tests, and you can type it in here and it would be in here, but there's exactly one. So if you want them to do much practice, there's one per test and then it's over. So it's not terribly useful. Just was curious about that, and I didn't know that. We'll go back to admin.
I have a question.
Yes.
When the student writes that essay, it's the instructor that has to go back and evaluate that. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. So people haven't, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, it doesn't tell you. In fact, there's no, you know, if the student didn't tell me, and I didn't assign this, so I had no thought of looking here to see if my student Santa wrote an essay. So it doesn't, you wouldn't know. You would have to, you know, maybe you've assigned it, maybe the student told you, but yet you would just get it. So I'm kind of afraid to click on it because I think once you click on it, you've graded it and you can't ungrade it. So I don't really want to grab it because I think it won't let me. Let me see if I can find something really old. No, see, I graded this essay and I can't see it again. The only thing I could do is kick it out of here, which maybe I should do, but you graded and you put the grade on and you put it in here, and I found it didn't notify the student, so I really didn't particularly like using this. And there's exactly one topic per test. So fortunately, it doesn't grade for us. So you can see things. Let me go back to the dashboard. So you could grab a class and you could see what's been going on. That I've been jumping around a lot, but I could see student scores. So I can see that these students were doing their practice tests. And you can see how they did, and you see that I'm partially ready, but I'm thinking once I hit 50, I'm pretty fine. And then you can see if they did tests. This is the practice tests for the big practice test, the task practice test. Here's little tests of sections. You can see what they did. You can see just how they did on the drills. She probably jumped in and out because she's getting, oh, see, I'm wondering, so I might be thinking, Tamara, what happened? What happened is Tamara did 0 questions. So that's why she got 0 right. So that makes me feel a little bit better. Here she got Mandy. She goes by, her legal name is Monday. She goes by Mandy. She got 5 out of 10. So that's not as good. And here you can keep doing the drills over and over. This is the person who did the drill 4 times and kept getting different questions. And there's essays are sitting there. So you can see what your students were doing. If you want to, and this is how you will find them. If you are in a class, if you are in a program where several people use the task test, it's other teachers, you're going to see everybody in Bergen County Technical Schools task program. But there are only, I teach the 2 sections of it. So I would know everybody here, but if there was somebody else, his students would be here too, because we've only got 1 class for us, because the state bought 1 program for all of us. And you can get different things. You can make reports of how many hours, but again, you can see if anybody's logged in right now. Anybody like to see anything on the administrative side? I only know teacher administration, but is there anything? I lost my chat box in case I can find my chat box again and see if anybody's been in. Do I know if Monmouth County? Okay, so okay, the only way I know to look for a program is let's go to the admin center. And I'm going to keep playing with myself. Okay, let's do that. I got an idea. Let's look for a tag. Okay. All right, here's Monmouth. Okay. So here is what's just called Monmouth. And let's look at this person. No, I don't want to masquerade. I want to, I want to see what the names of the classes are. And let's look for Monmouth again. M-O-M, wait, how do we spell Monmouth? Monmouth. Okay, so here, this is very interesting. Is anybody from Monmouth County here? Or know this person? Because there's 1 person here listed as being, when I'm looking for Monmouth County fund, let me look for Monmouth County something else. So Monmouth County is here. This is Monmouth County Literacy New Jersey Monmouth County program. Person who asked, is that your program or are you somewhere else? Okay, so I looked for fundamentals. There's probably more. Being in a county with B, you just find it. Okay, what's a harder? Let's see. Okay, so now just seeing 1 person, so I'm not sure, but and that person last logged on today. But you're definitely in. Okay, anybody want to know anything from here, though I'm better at the education part than the administrative part.
Jane, could you show us perhaps literacy in New Jersey Union County and one of the reports?
Okay, okay, let's look for, okay, I can't, okay, that's what can I do? I'm wondering if Andres, can he actually even go into it? Is that your program?
Yes.
Do you want me to stop sharing and you want to?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, because I can't see the classes. Strangely enough, I could accidentally put one of my students in your class. I could, because I've done that. I've put people in Borden instead of Bergen, and then I go quick take them out.
Okay. So
But
let
I
me
can't
share
see
my
what your
screen.
students do. I can only accidentally put them in there.
All right. So these are our programs. And then we can go to
I guess if you do tags, you could get them. If you could get just or whatever county we're looking for. I forgot what county we were looking for.
so we want to find on here on these enrollments. We can go to each program here. So we have for Monmouth, we have Literacy New Jersey, Monmouth County Vocational, and they seem to have, so we have 2 institutions for Monmouth. We have Literacy New Jersey and Monmouth County Vocational School District. So that's, so Anissa was talking about doing some of the reports. So for that, we would go to our home program. Let's do the, where's my HSC?
Okay,
up here.
Foundation. Okay.
And then here at reports. So this is what you were showing me, right, Jane?
Oh, the student time on task. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But you shouldn't be, you should only get people who've been on recently. So we shouldn't get everybody who's ever been there.
Oh.
But you may get people, like somebody should clean Aztec. I don't know who's nominated, but somebody should clean Aztec and take out people who haven't been here for the past, that came 2 years ago. But if you do a time on task and set it, an interval of the last 7 days, at least you won't get all the people that have long since left us or the past month.
Last 30 days.
Like so, and then if you do ask for a report, nothing seems to happen. The report is over on the left where it says notifications. So if anybody's ever trying to make a report and it says your report is made and you say, well, where is my report? It's under notifications and it goes away in 24 hours.
So if I click generate here, it will put it.
It'll put it in notifications and then it will take it away if you don't download it in 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
But obviously the ways we found all of that was by happily running our reports and saying, oh, here's all our reports, and not realizing we had to take them out of here.
Okay. Yeah, so this gave us, I have some of my students there, so they are showing up for, and we have the time.
Yay.
Oh, so this is really nice.
Yeah, and I think but you need to export, if you needed this, don't say, oh, now I ran it today and tomorrow I will finish putting it into my records. At some point, these reports go away.
Okay, so I need to export.
24 hours or they go away if you don't export it. That's one of the strange things about this.
All right, so I click export and it downloads the Excel file. Perfect.
Yes, but that just seems like that somebody should have warned you about that and nobody did.
Okay, I had no idea.
No, you would never know that. And we realized they go away. So I think I lost my PowerPoint. The only thing my PowerPoint said was thank you and fill out your image. So I have the learning system on our phone and students which is not a good thing to have because people can message you. So the last thing mine said was just thank you and fill out your evaluation. So we don't really need to go back to we need to go back to my PowerPoint so I can put my email up. I do need to. So let me do this and go to this and because that seems rather than if, okay. So, well, this just said, okay, well, it says, is there anything you wished you still knew? What do you plan to do with the program? Does anybody have any wonderful hints? And then the next thing says, fill out your evaluation. And this is my email. They give us very short emails. So the easiest thing to do is email me and I will send you a copy of this if you would like it. And then you're going to, I'm just going to put the evaluation up.
I put the link on the chat box. I have the link for the evaluation form. So that's already there. So I'm asking everyone to please fill it out before finishing the session. Thank you so much.